Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to lecturer. Today we want to present about discrimination among workers based on subject industrial relation code ADS 465. I want to introduce our group mates. First, Siti Mariam binti Johari. Second, Nur Rauda Wadiha binti Muhammad Fauzi, it's me. And Siti Nur Aniza binti Zahari. Discrimination is the unfair or prejudicial treatment of people and groups based on characteristics such as race, gender, age, or sexual orientation. That's the simple answer, but explaining why it happens is more complicated. The human brain naturally put things in categories to make sense of the world. Very young children quickly learn the difference between boys and girls, for instance. But the values we place on different categories are learned from our parents, our peers, and the observation we make about how the world works. Often discrimination stems from fear and misunderstanding. There are specific laws against some types of discrimination, what we call unlawful discrimination. If your employer treats you less favorably for an unlawful reasons, you may be able to act. If your employer treats you unfairly for any other reason, this is not unlawful discrimination. Discrimination is a public health issue. According to the 2015 Stress in America survey, people who say they have faced discrimination rate their stress levels higher on average than those who say they have no experienced discrimination. That's true across racial and ethnic groups. Chronic stress can lead to a wide variety of physical and mental health problems. Indeed, perceived discrimination has been linked to issues including anxiety, depression, obesity, high blood pressure, and substance abuse. Discrimination can be damaged even if you have not been the target of overt acts of bias. Regardless of your personal experience, it can be stressful just being a member of a group that it often discriminated against, such as racial minorities or individuals who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. The anticipation of discrimination creates its own chronic stress. People might even avoid situations where they expect they could be treated poorly, possibly missing out on educational and job opportunities. Next is the issue from the article. First, discrimination by workers. Workplace discrimination can be both direct and indirect, according to a study defining discrimination in the Malaysian legal context. Direct discrimination occurs when one person is treated unfairly because of their gender, marital status, or race. In the meantime, indirect discrimination occurs when company rules and policies broadly apply to everyone but still have a negative impact on others who do not share common characteristics. Every Malaysian citizen is entitled to work. Article 8, Section 1 of Malaysia's 1957 Constitution, as amended through 2007, states that all people are equally and have the right to equal protection under the law. Section 2 also states that no groups should be discriminated against in any law or employment under public authority based on gender, religion, race, or place of birth. The second issue is institutional theories of discrimination. Institutional discrimination is the discriminatory treatment of an individual or group of individuals by society and institutions because of unequal consideration of members of subordinate groups. These unfair and indirect methods of discrimination are frequently embedded in institutional policies, producers, laws, and objectives. The institutional approach sometimes crosses multiple disciplines. One example is the use of psychology and adaptive behavior theories. According to Pure, 1970, initially placing disadvantaged workers in low-wage, low-status jobs create attitudes and habits that perpetuate their low status. Arrow 1973 proposed a related model in which the cognitive dissonance theory relationalized market exchange that result in a suboptimal equilibrium. Employers form expectations about the inferiority of the group discriminated against, and the latter internalize their expectation and take action specifically under invest in human capital that confirm those expectations. The last issue is statistical discrimination and actual group discrimination. Statistical discrimination is a method of explaining incomes disparities among different demographic groups in society. They relies on risk and information costs rather than discrimination, preference, or market power. The example is of two groups that are both equally productive on average, but one of the group's productivity signals, such as test scores, is a noisier signal of productivity. A risk-averse, profit maximizing employer may offer lower wages or less desirable positions to applicants from the noisier demographic group. As a result, employment decisions are made based on groups characteristic as well as individual characteristic. Statistical discrimination occurs when groups' distribution on characteristic relevant in each situation differ statistically. Men, for example, may take fewer 6 days than women. When faced with the choice of hiring a man or a woman, an employer may treat the man and the woman as representatives of their respective groups rather than attempting to predict how many sick days the specific man or woman will take. If the man is higher as a result of this, the employer has engaged in statistical discrimination. Such discrimination could be justified. It is not prejudice, but rather based on an accurate assessment of average or other statistical characteristics of groups. When simple decision rules are used as compared to ignoring group information and assessing individual characteristics, better average outcomes may result. For example, an employer does not take the time to assess each person separately but only their group membership. When presented with a problem, such decision making is a simple and often inexpensive way to act. An informed employer understands that not everyone in a group is the same, but given the known statistical differences between groups, chooses to not to take the time to evaluate members within groups on an individual basis. This differs from stereotype discrimination in that it is founded on accurate information about group characteristics, albeit frequently on inaccurate assessment of individual within a group. The impact of discrimination is discrimination can greatly impact the business and every individual within its working environment. It can escalate to more severe sequences that could damage a company's reputation as well. First, lack of diversity. When you make arbitrary references in requirement and hiring, you may miss out on the benefits of workplace diversity. In this case, the variety of perspectives and experiences you can encounter to generate innovative ideas will be severely limited. Employees value diversity and inclusivity when it comes to building a globally competitive business. Next, employer health issues. When employees work in an unhealthy environment with people who mistreat them, they can suffer from physical, mental, and emotional problems. They are more likely to experience fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and other self issues. Besides that, decrease in productivity. When your employees are out of shape, their productivity suffer the most. They are distracted, demotivated, and discouraged from giving their best because of negative preconceptions about their appearance, or they feel inferior because of a lack of skills and experience. Job satisfaction will also decline as people become dissatisfied and less confident about their jobs. Moreover, higher employee turnover rate. Employees who are underpaid and treated unfairly are more likely to leave the company. As more employees resign, the organization will require more resources to continue requiring, hiring, and training new employees. Finding new talent may also be difficult, especially if the company has a negative reputation among customers and former employees because of discrimination. Finally, legal issue. Failure to prevent and respond to workplace discrimination effectively may result in legal issues. There are anti-discrimination and equality laws in place to protect people with disabilities from discrimination. In addition, there are criminal laws in place to protect women from gender-based conflict. Legal issue could also harm the organization's reputation and endanger the entire operation.
Assalamualaikum. I will explain about the related concept of the industrial relation. Harmonious industrial relation defined as the peaceful relationship between employer and employee in the organization. From this article explain about the survey of discrimination among workers that has been known that their organization may having a non-harmonious industrial relation because it has been affected on the organization as well. To overcome the discrimination issue regarding wages, income of the workers, and the other discrimination, the organization should be considered the harmonious relation between employee and employers that can be a good effect in the organization. This is because by adapting the harmonious relation can reduce the wastage of man, machine, and material. Cooperation and most understanding may avoid industrial dispute that will help the organization maintain their course. Furthermore, with this harmonious atmosphere in workplace may makes employee feel comfortable and appreciated. It may also keep employee highly motivated and work more patient. Industrial disputes such as discrimination can be reduced if the organization being a peaceful industrial relation. Therefore, the implementation of harmonious relation between employer and employees will create a peaceful relationship that reduce number of industrial action and minimal the dispute. The advantages of harmonious relation that every conflict both parties, whether employer or employee, can be handled and settled easily without any other industrial action. This is the best solution in early stage of preventing dispute. Regarding to the article, employment contract is the most important for both employee and employer, and it must comply with the employment legislation. In Malaysia, the employee are concerned with the Employment Act 1955 because this act proposed to provide benefit established right for those workers. The contract of the employment must be drafted should be compliance with the law. The employee can understand the language of the written contract, and the contract should include the name of the employer and employee, starting date of employment, place of work, and the title of the job position, including job description, wages, benefit, also necessary term and condition, such as probation period for new workers, working hours, overtime, EPF and SOCSO, and health service provided such as medical checkup for the employee. This binding contract must be given to the employee for their copies, and they are also alert with the term in the contract. Other particulars for female employees are entitled to have paid maternity leave for 60 days according to Employment Act 1955. Employees are approved to paid on the Gazette public holiday in 1 year for 10 days. Moreover, this will avoid the misunderstanding in the future conflict. Therefore, employees are recommended to join trade union when the trade union will be the path for bargain any issue regarding unsatisfied wages, benefit that opposite from their contracts, terms and conditions that employer has been provided. In addition, every complaint that has been voiced out by the employees will be investigated by the Employment Act officer that will decide to give a solution regarding any employee's claim when they are disputed by their employer, and also can prosecute the failed employer for the unfollow the act. According to the Industrial Relations Act, Section 5, workers in Malaysia have a right to form and allowed to join trade union. Participation from employee into trade union must be in the same industry, occupation and trade. So, employee want to join trade union must choose the employee trade union. The benefit of joining the trade union are the interests of the member will be protected. The objective of trade union are to regulate employee and employer relationship, easy to conduct collective bargaining with the employees to comply collective agreement. Trade union will be representative in trade dispute such as disciplinary issue, and also represent in industrial court or labor court. Trade union able conduct legitimate industrial actions such as strike, and all the members will participate with the culture and the recreation activities that trade union provides. Joining trade union will minimize discrimination among workers regarding pay, work, and promotion. It may create sense of security belongingness toward members.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Siti Noaniza binti Zahari. Discrimination faced by labor can result in substantial financial cost to workers and their family, and in long-term labor market consequence, including lower labor force participation and lower wages. Discrimination will slow economic growth and drag down living standard. One way to overcome is by invest more in measures to reduce discrimination, including diversity in hiring, training, promotion, and retention policy and practice. Companies should also be focused on measuring and reporting on the progress they have made in reducing discrimination. Current discrimination is a serious social problem. Women tend to gravitate toward management, since so few of them are in management position. We should be looking to recruit more women into management position, as well as more racial and ethnic minorities into all kinds of jobs. Every company should have a diversity program. The most effective way to stop workplace discrimination is to make the workplace a place where everyone can feel comfortable and safe. Also contribute to a more welcoming environment. Having people of different gender and background in the workplace will lead to a more open and honest dialogue, which will make everyone feel safer and more comfortable. The high-level policy are important to preventing discrimination because they set the general standard for how discrimination is treated. But they are not the only tools needed to ensure equality of opportunity for people. There is a long history of racial, ethnic, and religious discrimination in employment. To have mutual understanding in provide the more benefit to overcome the discrimination. All this need the cooperation from every level to make sure the successful of action taken. In conclusion, labor market discrimination occur when workers are denied employment opportunity or treated differently by their employees because of their race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, or disability. Labor market discrimination also can result from hiring or firing decision, advertising, or other recruitment practice, and decisions that affect the employee job duty of the work environment. When it comes to hiring, women still face an uphill battle. They hold fewer top-level positions than men do, and those roles are often more physical demanding. However, the gender pay gap has narrowed over the last 2 decades, and there are also more women in senior positions today. Discrimination can take many forms. It can involve disparaging remarks and treatment, failure to promote, denial of promotion, or refusal to promote based on someone's disability. Another form of discrimination that has been in the news is the recent ban on employment discrimination on the basis of pregnancy, race, and religion. Evidence shows that women in the workplace experience more often than men in the workforce discrimination. The fact that the pay gap exists in industries that are heavily dominated by men reinforces the conclusion of discrimination. Our society should celebrate and embrace the diversity of life and people. A society without empathy is a society without compassion. Discrimination still exists, but society is working hard to overcome it. Thank you.